Alright guys, this is Justin the Board Game Runner, and today we're going to talk about Dungeon Crusade and how to set up your initial, the scenario that you picked, okay? This is going to be a little bit of a longer video. Make sure you check the timestamps and the chapter markers so that you can find specifically, in the rule book you can see there's a section here. Each hero gains starting gold, and you can roll. If you're using the Avalon Adventure board game, then you'll use what you have from that. In either case, we have the setup going on. So let's talk about it. So first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to pick a scenario from the scenario book. There are a number of scenarios. You can pick whichever scenario you want. Okay. And so we're just going to go with the first scenario here into the depths. Okay, so here's the page. Well, there's a page, not to be confused. We're going to walk through this, okay? And also, just know that you can modify this somewhat, but we're gonna assume in this setup video that we're gonna play on a normal difficulty. So instead of rolling for all of these values, which you certainly could with the D6 to randomly set all this up, we're just going to go with normal all the way down the line, okay? So that's going to tell us everything we need to do and know. All right, cool. Let's get to it. Because like I said, this is going to take us a minute to get everything set up. So the first thing we do is we're going to select the scenario, okay? And when we select the scenario, all right, the scenario is going to tell us, in this case, for example, this is done in the ancient ruins. Well, I know what you're thinking. Well, how do I know exactly what the ancient ruins are? Well, I'm glad you asked. So in the back of the rule book, there are the last couple of pages where the index is, will show you the layouts for all of the tiles. All right, the tiles are going to go out in this order, and you can see this has got a thing that shows you where the treasure chests and mining sites are, traps, all that sort of stuff. They're marked in here. It's kind of hard to see with this, but it's a lot clearer to see. So you can see here, for example, there's a yellow right here. There's a blue marked right here. There's a purple right here. Right, so that's gonna tell you on the board where all of that stuff, is. So we're gonna set that out here. Okay. So let me do that. All right. So here is the Ancient Ruins map set up. Again, we're referencing this in the back page of the rulebook. All right, so the next thing that we would do is we were going to kind of populate out this board. Now, this is just a little bit of a zoomed in section, okay? But I'll walk you through this, and then we'll look at it when it's completely done. So the next thing that you can do is you can take the door standees, and if you look, you can see, for example, this ruins, right? There's a chamber here, Heroes of Vigil chamber here. And if you look, see how there's like an outline and then you got this opening? That's where the door is. On each one of these, boom, you can place a door. Now, I'm not going to do that so that you can see the board. And usually when I film, I also don't do that, just because it makes it harder for everybody to see what's going on the board. But you would actually do that for every single one of these chambers. So that's the first thing we do. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to place treasure tokens. And where we're going to place these treasure tokens is everywhere we see one of these symbols, a little treasure chest. Remember, we have our treasure tokens, two-sided, the same side, where it says treasure chest. We're just going to place that there. And we're going to do that for the entirety of the dungeon. So once those are all placed out, you should place out 10 tokens. So you can see, for example, one there, one here, one here, one here. They're all on the board. And don't forget, if you start to place those out and you cannot find one, reference this, right? The blue dots are treasure chests. The yellows are mining sites. The purples are traps. Okay, so if you need to find that on the board and you can't figure out exactly where they're at, or you just want to go by that, by this graphic, and then kind of work your way through it, that's certainly a good option as well. Cool, so that's treasure chest tokens. So the next thing we're going to place out are mining tokens. Alright, so here are the mining tokens. There should be 8 of those. You're going to give those a good mix as you can shuffle. You're going to do the same thing with those as we did with the treasure chest tiles and put those out across the dungeon board. Also, when you're placing these out, make sure that you place these on the unexplored side. That's important because remember, the action of mining is going to let us flip this over, and then that will tell us which deck that site pulls from when we mine. So make sure you put them all on the unexplored side, and that is the mining tokens. Alright, so now let's look at the trap token. So you have a trap token, and on the other side of the trap token is either this foot symbol or this trap spring right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to shuffle all of these. There's a bunch of those. Mix them up good, get them random, and then we're going to place those on the board in these spots right here. Now these are optional, so if you don't want to play with traps, you certainly don't have to do that. But again, these are going to be just like the other tokens so far. We're just going to take and we're going to place one example right here, and then we're going to place another one right here so that we don't know what's on the other side, whether it's going to actually spring or whether the trap fails. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to shuffle our Tavern Task deck, draw one Tavern Task to keep, the other ones will go back in the box, and this will be the singular Tavern Task that we have for the rest of this game. Remember, these are not, once they're completed, they're not replaced. You just get one. You can see, look at 8, that's a ton of life force. So that's what we're going to do with those. The rest go back in the box. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take all of our recipes. You see there's a ton of these recipes. We're just going to set this deck off to the side somewhere, and that way we've got it ready for when we pull those out and we do the mining and all that. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take all of the Guardian, Champion, and Minion cards. We're going to separate them by level. So we have level 1, 2, 3, and 4 Guardians, level 1, 2, 3, 4 Champions, and only 3 levels of Minions. That's not a misprint. There are only supposed to be 3 levels of Minions. Then we're going to be combining these decks. So we're going to shuffle the level 1 and 2 Guardians, all right, sorted by level to separate decks, right? And then we're going to shuffle level 3 and 4 Guardians into one deck. So the level 1s shuffled stay, level 2s stay, but the level 3s and 4s, we're going to combine those. We're going to give them a shuffle, give them a good mix there, boom. So that's that deck. And that's important, okay? Because champions and minions, there are specific levels, tokens for those guys, right? For the champions. And then minions will come out depending on what quest table, what dungeon delve basically we're on. But the guardians, whenever we do guardians, whenever we do level 1, first quest table, we'll be facing level 1, second quest table is level 2. And then the third quest table, you may get 3s or 4s. Okay, so that's why we're doing that. And then we're going to just set those to the side. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the Celebration Day deck, the Treasure deck, the Secret Room deck, shuffle those up, and we're going to place those out. All right, the next thing we're going to do is the Mining deck. So you're going to take the Mining deck, you're going to remove the 8. This mining site is exhausted cards from that. You're going to shuffle it up. You're going to make 4 piles of 32 cards each. Then you're going to take 2 of each of these, add them to the piles, and then you're going to shuffle these piles together. And these piles are going to become the A, B, C, and D mining sites for the dungeon. These will also, there's some places on the village board for the blessings and the treasure cards and all that. I'll show you that at the end. But that's how you're going to prepare these decks. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create the encounter deck. Now, this deck is what is a timer in the game. This is what's going to start the cycle of the phases. One of the things that we're going to do, we're going to draw one of these at the beginning, and this is going to be some sort of effect, either some sort of environment card or event or challenge. But what you're going to do is you're going to take and you're going to separate the 10 interlude cards, and you can see those here. This is what they look like on the other side. These are basically kind of like a way to choke the deck, to give you like a round where you don't have anything happen and you can respond to things. You're going to take these 10 out, and then you're going to take 30 of these cards, all that are left, and you're going to shuffle 30 of these with these 10, and that's going to create your encounter deck with a total of 40 cards. And also, importantly, you're only going to shuffle in 9 of these cards in the beginning. You're going to leave one out, so there'll be 39 cards in this deck. Once you shuffle it all together, you're going to take that 10th interlude card, and that's going to go on the top. So basically, you're going to get a free round where nothing happens before things start happening in this deck. All right. So, next thing we're going to do, if you remember when we talked about the scenario book, we had the options to roll, right, and see, what are we going to do with the scenario, how we're going to set, we could randomly do our potions and do all those sorts of things, right, based on all these tables. And again, you could do that. We're just going to go with the normal for this particular example of setup, but you could randomize that if you wanted to by rolling the d6. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out with taking our main quest cards. All right, we're going to look at this on this board. So if you remember some of the stuff we've already talked about, we have our mining deck, the blessings deck will go on the village board down here in the corner. Our encounter deck can go right here. Our treasure deck can go right here. The celebration day deck can go right here. Right, so there's some places on these boards. The cards are a little bit bigger than the graphics, so you can put them here, those decks, or you can put them in something else to make them a little bit easier to access. Like this holder I have over here, for example, you can have something for the small cards and another one for the large cards. But we're going to have our quests, right? So remember, we have our main quest, our side quest. We have 3 quest tables. So that's a total of 6 of these based on the scenario. We talked about that already. Then we're going to take all of our tokens, our globes, elder globes, right? We're going to have 1 red elder globe on each location to show that we have not completed this quest. And then we're going to place out a main quest, a side quest, and a Kill the Guardians quest token as well. So we'll get those out there. That's done. Good deal. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So those are populated. And then we're going to look at each one of these, and we're going to, you can read the story on the front, but then the back is going to very specifically show you how to do the setup. So, we won't go over all the details of the card, but you can see there's the objective, and then here's the setup. So we're going to follow it. Just place 3 doors with red bases in each chamber of a location, ancient depths, and take 3 level 1 monster tokens, an empty chamber token, shuffle and place 1 in each of the chambers, and take 2 wine bottle tokens, a blank quest token, and shuffle and place 1 within each of those chambers, and take 3 level 1 monster tokens, 1 empty chamber token, and shuffle, place 1 token within each chamber of the spider lair, take the onyx key, 2 blank quest tokens, and place 1 token within each chamber of the spider lair. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll come back and I'll show you kind of each of the piles and what I did. So the first thing it asked me to do was place 3 doors in the ancient depths, and you can see that's written right there with the red bases. Place those first, which I've done. Then it says take 3 level 1 monster tokens and an empty chamber token, and this empty chamber token actually has the same back as these monster tokens. It says take these, shuffle them up. Then it says we're going to place one in each one of the Ancient Depths chambers. Now, if you remember, we have 4 tokens. We have 3 level 1s and an empty. So what that means is we just take the top one, 1, 2, 3. So we don't know what this token is. It could be a monster. It could be the empty chamber. We're not going to know until we actually explore those chambers to find out what it is. And we don't want to look at that token so we ruin it as we're doing the setup. We want to keep that a surprise. Then it asks us to take the 2 wine bottle tokens and a blank quest item token. And all these will have quest item on the back of them, right? So we don't know what they are. We're going to shuffle these together. And it says place these also in the Ancient Depths. So here they are placed into the Ancient Depths. Then it says take a 3 level 1 monster tokens and an empty chamber token and shuffle. So here are those tokens. We're going to shuffle those and we're going to place one with token within each chamber of the Ancient. Take 3 level 1 empty chamber tokens. Place 1 token within each chamber of the Spider Lair. So now we basically populated this part of the quest. Now we're going to go to a different location. And essentially what we're doing is we're populating the monsters and then the quest items. So here's the Spider Lair. So again, we have 4 total tokens. Boom, boom, boom. And we're not looking at what the other one is. Then we take the Onyx Key token, 2 blank quest tokens, shuffle those together, do the same thing. Boom, boom, boom. Now, what you will notice, to figure out which one this is, I should show that. Okay, so if you'll notice on this key, see how it's red there in the center? So there's 4 different keys in the game, and there's a red, green, blue, and a gold, and they're all different names. Like there's onyx. They all have like a color of a stone. They all have a color on the key. And why that's important is this color, since this is red, that tells me that I've got to have this key to get into these locations. Okay, so that's why these doors have those other bases. And again, there's 4 colors. All right, so basically what we're going to do, and I won't go through each of these individually, I'll set it up, but we're going to do that same process. So you can see here's the Ancient Depths. Over here's the Spider Lair. We're going to do that same process. We've done it for the Baron's card. Now we're going to do it for all other 5 of these cards, the side quest and the other main quest. All right, so I'll show you the shot so far here in a second, but I did want to point this out. So you'll notice that I've got these green skull tokens. There's a green one there. There's a red one there. You can see some yellow ones up over here. So what I use these for is each of the quest tables. The first level quest table has a green gem on it. Second has a yellow. Third has a red on the dungeon UI board. And so what I do just to make things easier to find is I use these tokens. I place those in the chamber so I know as I'm going about the dungeon, hey, this area over here, this is my level 1s, and this over here is a level 3. So maybe I don't want to go in there. And I can always refer right to these quest cards that will tell you the locations. But it's just easier to have a visual representation of that on the board. And then that way, as I check out those rooms and complete those quests, I can pull these skulls off. I process the room. Once it's done and I've completed what I need to get out of it, then I can take that off, and then I know that I've already explored that, and I don't have to worry about that. It's just an easier visual way for me to track that. All right, so once we've got that done, at this point we've populated all of our quest tables. I went ahead and put out all the doors, so this is kind of what it should look like. So that takes care of the main stuff that we're going to do. Now, you'll notice there's a lot of chambers that are not very populated, right? So the next step is called Advanced Seating, Advanced Setup. So basically now we're going to randomly populate all of these places where we don't have any monsters or anything like that. We're going to populate them with mystery tokens, secret rooms, monsters, all that sort of stuff. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to populate this thing and finish fleshing out this dungeon. So if you're going to do, is you're going to look at the seating table, okay? So that's this table right here on your scenario page. You're going to look at that. It's going to tell you how many tokens to get of each. I want to focus. You can do it. You can't. Of each type. So there's some monster tokens, some empty chamber tokens, mystery tokens, secret tokens, all of those things. And so I've got those laid out here. So here's my 2 mystery tokens, the crate tokens, which is not on that list, but there are going to be 7 of those. You want to get those. And then the level 1, 2, and 3 tokens. Well, actually, there's the 3 and the 4 token. The empty chambers and the secret. Now, the important part to remember here is that these mystery tokens are the master mystery tokens. They're like be double-sided because there's going to be some other tokens that have this side, but if you actually do manage to get into a mystery chamber, you're going to draw a random token out of the loot, basically, for mystery chambers. These crate tokens are the same way. You want these master tokens and not the ones that have stuff you find on the other side. And the secret room tokens, these are the ones that do not have the numbers in the corner for the difficulty of the room. So what you're going to do is you're going to take all of these tokens, you're going to mix them all up together, and then basically what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to start and we're going to go everywhere where we have an empty chamber and we're going to start populating this dungeon. All right, so I've got that. So I've got this bag. So I've put all those tokens in this bag. You can see them sort of in there. This is a ridiculously large bag, by the way. But I want to make sure I get it good and mixed up. So what we're going to do is we're going to look in each of these chambers. And for example, we're going to start here in the corner. And we're going to go bottom left corner, up, over, down, over, up, over, down. Right, that's the kind of the order we're going to do. And we're going to look for any chamber that's not populated. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a single token into that chamber. So these are already populated, right? And the reason, how do I know that? A, they've got stuff in them, but also because they have the skulls. So basically, any location that does not have a skull in it, or that you did not populate when you were doing your quest setup, is going to get one of these. So you're going to draw a token out. All right. Now, these tokens, if you mix them up, it's going to be really hard not to see what they are. I always play with them face up. That's just me. You could shuffle these and try to stack these somehow where you wouldn't see it, but you're going to put one in each location. So put one goes there, one goes here, one goes here. So these are all monsters so far. So I've done through here. Now I'm going to come back around. All of these have it. This one does it. Okay, so here is a crate token. So if we pull a crate token, right, then we're also going to place another monster, or place another token in. Okay, hopefully it's a monster. All right, so this is a good example. So I drew another crate token. You can only have one crate token in a chamber. So I drew a second crate token. I'm just going to set that aside for now. I'm going to draw again. Wow, and somehow I pulled a third one. I'm going to set it aside. All right, and then this one says empty chamber. Now, I tend to go ahead, even though it says empty chamber, just so I don't get confused. I go ahead and place that down, and then I'll go back and pick those up at the end. And you got one of two options. You can always go back and just keep these tokens to the side and then kind of go back and randomly figure out a dungeon where these crate tokens are not. I always just add them back in the bag, give it a good shuffle, and then continue on my way until I don't, that way I don't pull them like that. All right, so secret room. We got a crate token there. We pulled a secret room. It's going to go right there. And yes, you can have a secret room token and a crate token in the same location. So you'll just know, hey, if I make it into that secret room, well, then, I'm going to get some good stuff, hopefully. All right, and we're going to continue on, and again, we're going down, over, and back up. So we got a monster there. Got a crate token there. Remember, a crate token, we need a second token. So there's a monster there. So we got a level 2 monster in that case. Well, I did that backwards. I should have started up here and then went this way. We go up, down, up. So that should have been the last one I placed, but you get the idea. Up, down, up. So now we're going to go up here. There's an empty chamber. Another crate token, because crate token we need to just drew another crate token. Crate token. And ooh, empty chamber. So no monster in there, but there is a free crate token. That's cool. Then we got crate token. Put these back in. Again, that's just me. A mystery chamber. And remember, we only put 1 token per chamber. So mystery chamber, even though this isn't a monster, it still stays there, and we move on to the next open. That's how you do that. Okay, so that's done. Advanced seating is done. So now we have the dungeon completely populated, right? As far as tokens. So that part's done, which is good. That took a minute. It will take you a minute, so be prepared to spend a little bit of time there. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start working on the village UI board, dungeon UI board. We're going to start working on those. All of the amounts of things that we're going to put out, again, are here in these tables. So you would just refer to these tables for where to set the defaults, okay? So I'm just showing you this now, and then I'm going to set the defaults on the tables and just kind of point them out right quick so that you can see that. Well, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's just do it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place the potions down here at the bazaar. Next, I'm going to set the village terror level, which for our difficulty of normal is a 4. The raid difficulty on the normal will be on another place. Cool. Now, the other thing we need to set over here, the minion population, raid difficulty, guardian spawn, all that stuff is going to be on the other board. On this board, we need to populate the blacksmith. And remember, you would have your heroes ability cards that you had picked, the 2 abilities for them over here in the academy. So everything that you see on this track will be set up the same way from the scenario book. The raid minion population, all the raid difficulty, the spawn rating, all that will come from the scenario book. So you want to reference that same page that we just looked at to set all of these values up the way that they should be. This is certainly an option if you want to not put everything necessarily on these boards. You can use some deck holders, right? So I use these, have these two sets for some regular size cards and some smaller size cards. Then I also use another one. My dog is going crazy for my guardians, right? So the guardians are over there. Champions, minions, encounter deck, treasure chest, loot cards, and all the smaller cards are there. And then I do keep the blacksmith and the blessings cards over here on the UI board. So that's how I do it. That's just an option for you. So there you go. There's the full setup. It definitely does take a minute, but that's okay. So yeah, there you go. That's what you got to do. Again, basically, just do a quick recap. You're going to set up your main quest, which is these with the colored skulls, as an example. Then you're going to seed the dungeon, right, in all the places, all the chambers where you did not have quests at. You're going to then go over here to these boards, and you're going to set your terror level. You're going to do your mining deck, all your decks, mining, celebration day, treasure, encounter, the academy, the blessings deck. You're going to take care of the blacksmith. You're going to set your levels for your minions, your raid difficulty. You're basically going to populate these UI boards, right? And then you will be ready to play. The last thing you'll do is generally in the center, in most of the maps in the center of the board, you are going to place your heroes, and obviously you'll have 6, but in Albus, you're going to place your heroes. You can see here, see that white outline? This is called the siege tile, and it even says here at the top, siege. And there you have it. That is the setup for the board. Takes a little bit of time, but it is definitely keeps the board random, gets everything out there for the quest. You've got that theme, and it's going to take you a minute, but hopefully this explained that well. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I will try to answer those as soon as I can. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing, and I will see you, my friends, in the next video. Bye, guys.